Watching Avatar: The Last Airbender for the first time in 2020 was nothing short of a spiritual experience for me. I found God that year, and his name was Iroh. What particularly struck me was how the show subverted all of my expectations of what a kids' show should and could be in the most satisfying way possible. It crafted a story and created a world in such a mature and artistic way that I had never experienced before or since, certainly not in a supposed kids' show. There were so many instances throughout the series where I had built-in expectations for what it would be, only for the show to give me a big ol' middle finger right to my face and tell me to go take a hike. But in the nicest way possible. Like the hike it told me to take was in Yellowstone National Park, and it paid for me to go there, and gave me a loving and tender yet passionate kiss on the lips, and set me off on my journey towards a better, more tea-friendly world. And so in poetic synchronization, so begins the journey of this video. But just don't expect a kiss. Never before or since have my expectations been so pleasantly subverted by any form of media. My first time watching the show, the timing of Azula's character introduction seemed a bit convenient. There had been no mention of Zuko having a sister to that point, and then right at the end of the first season, he gives a very expository monologue about this brand new character.
You're like my sister. Everything always came easy to her. She's a fire-bending prodigy, and everyone adores her. My father says she was born lucky. He says I was lucky to be born.
It bothered me a bit and seemed as though they were setting up a replacement for Zhao for season 2 at the last minute, but upon rewatching the show, I was floored to see Azula in the flashback of the storm. She was right there, in the middle of season 1. It was such an amazing little detail, and the show didn't feel the need to draw any attention to it. It was just part of this world, and her character actions were perfectly in line with the Azula we met in season 2. It was a perfect detail and just a prime example of how nothing in the show was shoehorned or slapped together. The show is full of situations like this, but none shocked me quite like the ending of season 2. Now maybe this was just me reading into things a bit too much, but the show seemed to have a certain structure to it. It was appearing to me like each season would have a main enemy who Aang would fight and defeat in the finale by going into the Avatar state. Season 1 had Zhao, who was then replaced by Azula for season 2. As season 2 went along and things panned out, the stage was set for the final showdown at Ba Sing Se. And at this point in my first watch of the show, I knew there were only 3 seasons, so heading into the finale of season 2, I figured it would follow the blueprint of season 1 and would play out as follows. Zuko would join Team Avatar, Aang would go into the Avatar state, defeat Azula, and save the day. And then the Fire Lord would be presented as the new primary antagonist, but again, the show decided to remind me how much of a rat I truly am and told me to kick rocks. It said Ba Sing Se is gonna fall, Aang is gonna die, and Azula is gonna dance on his grave. It was so shocking and satisfying to have this subversion. Now it's possible I looked past some obvious hints and should have seen it coming. After all, it is fairly common in most arcs for the second chapter to be the darkest. Empire Strikes Back is the clearest example of this.
He is too dangerous, Captain. We can't just carry him to the capital. We have to do something now.
But for a kid's show, I was expecting something far simpler and sanitized. I certainly didn't expect our main hero to almost die, and for the capital of the Earth Kingdom to fall to the kid's show version of the Imperial Japanese Empire. But this is another reminder that this isn't just a kid show, but is something far, far bigger. And what's even more, I knew that season 3 was called Fire, which is why I fully expected Zuko to join Team Avatar at the end of season 2, and then spend the entirety of season 3 teaching Aang firebending. Obviously this did happen midway through season 3, but I expected him to turn right at the end of season 2. I was so sure this would happen, and was so surprised by the twist that I would not accept that he was truly joining Azula all the way up until the credits rolled. The mental gymnastics I did to try and convince myself that it wasn't real were next level. When he told Katara,
I thought you had changed!
I have changed.
I convinced myself that this must be some hidden message to her that he was secretly on her side. And so I sat there waiting for the story to flip back to generic cartoon mode and for Zuko to turn good again. But it never did. The Japanese conquered Shanghai and our heroes retreated into the mountains. I honestly can't remember a time before or since I first watched the show that I have been this surprised by something in media. All from a supposed kids show. The show does this again and again, and it always goes the extra mile. In season 3, when Aang is struggling with how best to defeat the Fire Lord without killing him, he seeks counsel from the previous avatars. Now in my head, I was expecting him to talk to Roku and Kyoshi, as these were the 2 avatars we had previously been introduced to. Most lazy shows or media would do this. Rather than taking the time to animate and create entirely new characters, they would recycle previous ones, and the result would be a world that feels small and limited. But not Avatar. The show introduces us to 2 brand new avatars, Kuruk and Yang Chen, going above and beyond and creating an incredibly fleshed out world that feels littered with history and lore. Kuruk had been alluded to in the past, but never formally introduced.
I didn't know that. Why did he or I try to kill you?
Oh, it was something about stealing the face of someone you loved.
Focusing the energy through your body. In the Avatar state, you are at your most powerful.
So hearing his full story made for an incredible experience, and the backstory he provides to Aang fits exactly with what was introduced cryptically by Ko: masterful storytelling. We see this again in the episode Avatar Day. Aang dresses as Kyoshi to try and get her to take his form and prove their innocence. I was once again fully expecting for Kyoshi to never show her face, but lo and behold, she shows up in one of the most epic moments in the entire show. And not only this, but she doesn't prove her innocence.
I killed Chin the Conqueror.
She is revealed to be an entirely separate and unique character to Aang, who is willing to do anything to preserve peace. Just another example of a scene and character you wouldn't see in a more typical, lesser show. The show never cuts corners on anything, and when it sets something up, it delivers tenfold. The perfect example of this is with Ba Sing Se. The city had been mentioned throughout the show, going as far back as the first half of Season 1, with Iroh and the Winter Solstice Part 1.
A place you're quite familiar with, actually. You once laid siege to it for 600 days, but it would not yield to you.
Ah, the great city of Ba Sing Se.
It is set up as this larger-than-life metropolis that all the refugees in the Earth Kingdom are flocking to. We see Team Avatar and Iroh and Zuko in the immigration area, and it is filled to the brim with civilians of the Earth Nation who have been displaced, all seeking refuge and a better life in the great city. We see Iroh and Zuko on the ferry to the city, reflecting on their journey thus far and imagining their lives in the new world that they are about to enter.
I can't wait to set my eyes on that giant wall.
It is a magnificent sight.
The show spends half of the season slowly building up the absolute highest of expectations. Any normal show would surely falter under the weight of these expectations, and the show has no right to meet them. But then, you get there. And by some way, in some miracle, it is everything it was dreamed to be and more. To say it blew me away would be a disservice. The sheer size and scope of the city, the art style and the detailed layout of the various rings and social classes of the city, the Dai Li and the elaborate conspiracy, and all the pivotal events that take place in the city, from the tales of Ba Sing Se, to the death of Jet, to the Dai Li coup, to Aang's ultimate defeat. In my head, I was picturing something smaller and underwhelming, something more like Omashu. Not small exactly, but certainly not what Ba Sing Se was built up to be. But then you get there, and you see it, and it takes your breath away. It brought the kid back out of me. It removed the cynicism from my body and brought me genuine joy. And with the massive scope the show has, it is somehow presented in one of the tightest written scripts I've ever seen. Every frame was crafted with love, and it is clear that the creators meticulously plotted the story out from start to finish with every beat planned. The fact that it was only 3 seasons is evidence of this. The show was wildly popular, and they could have easily dragged it on for more seasons. But they didn't. They wrote a story and told that story exactly as it needed to be told, and nothing more. Nothing was needlessly slapped together or shoehorned in, and nothing was forgotten or inconsistent. Like everyone who watched Avatar for the first time, the first thing I did after finishing it was rewatch it. And it was, miraculously, almost as satisfying of an experience the second time through, but in an entirely different way. Upon rewatch, I had the full scope and plot of the show fresh in my mind, and it allowed me to pick up on so many details and connections that were sprinkled in that I had missed the first time through.
No, power in firebending comes from the breath, not the muscles. Iroh was the last outsider to face the Masters. They deemed him worthy and passed the secret on to him as well.
And the way it sprinkles them in treats the audience with respect and as adults. It doesn't look down on them. When Iroh is captured by the Earth Kingdom, and when they are informing him of where they are taking him to face justice, we get a glimpse into his backstory.
I acknowledge my defeat at Ba Sing Se. After 600 days away from home, my men were tired, and I was tired.
The show establishes that he has a complicated and mysterious past, but what that is isn't explicitly spelled out to us. Instead, it is revealed piecemeal throughout the rest of the show in a way that is subtle and leaves something to the imagination. It is done in a way that is real and is how characters in the universe would speak about these events.
And General Iroh, great hero of our nation.
Retired general.
And not in a manner that was clearly designed to be spoken to an audience. The show demonstrates that Iroh is able to see Aang while in the spirit world, establishing that he has some supernatural connection to that world that most beings do not. But again, it is subtle. The information is doled out throughout the 3 seasons of the show in natural and satisfying ways. We get bits and pieces here and there that get the imagination running wild. Additionally, each piece of the puzzle falls naturally into place with the previous piece, and nothing is forgotten or contradicted. And by only giving us 40% of the pieces, it lets us imagine the rest of the picture in our minds. And the amazing part is, I could go on like this forever. From Azula showing up, to Kirk and his backstory with Ko, Zhao mentioning the library in Season 1, Iroh's son, the story of Chin the Conqueror, the White Lotus, Ba Sing Se, the list never ends. The show is filled with details sprinkled throughout that add layer upon layer to the depth, realism, and mystery of it all. It truly is masterful.